What if I told you that the single biggest force shaping your life, everything you notice, what you believe, even what you think is possible for yourself, is a quiet, automatic shortcut your brain is running right now completely in the background? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
So let's just start with this one big question, because it really gets to the heart of it. What if the reality you experience every single day isn't actually the full picture? What if there's a filter sitting between you and the world and you don't even realize it's there?
And this is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. So on the left, you're having a bad day. A friend takes a while to text back and it feels like a personal slight. On the right, it's a good day. The exact same thing happens and you probably don't even think twice about it. The event didn't change. So what did? And that is the absolute key to all of this. The world outside of you stayed exactly the same. The only thing that was different was the internal filter your brain was using to make sense of it all. That filter is the architecture of your attention. And now we're going to see how it's actually built.
All right, so first off, why do we even have this filter? Well, it's not a bug, it's a feature. And it's one that's been wired into us for a very, very old reason: survival.
Just try to wrap your head around this number. Every single second, your senses are getting flooded with millions of bits of information. Sights, sounds, smells, feelings, everything. If your brain actually tried to process all of that at once, it'd be like trying to listen to a million songs playing at the same time. You'd just crash. So the filter isn't optional, it's absolutely necessary. And one of the main players in this whole operation is a little part of your brain called the amygdala. The best way to think of it is like a bouncer for your mind. It stands at the door of your attention, and its job is to tag information with an emotional sticker. And the more emotionally intense something feels, the more likely it is to get a VIP pass right to the front of the line.
And you've definitely felt this in action, right? It's why one little piece of criticism can get stuck on a loop in your head all day long, but a dozen compliments can just kind of fade away. That one negative comment has a much stronger emotional charge. So the amygdala's bouncer shoves it right into the spotlight of your focus.
But here's the thing you gotta remember. Your brain isn't trying to be a downer. It's not trying to be unfair. For pretty much all of human history, spotting a potential threat, like a rustle in the bushes, was way more important for your survival than noticing a beautiful sunset. That ancient need to scan for danger is still hardwired into our modern brains as a way to protect us.
Okay, so that survival instinct sets the stage for what I think is the brain's biggest and most fascinating trick. We know why the filter exists, but how does it actually decide what to let in and what to ignore? Well, it turns out that what you expect to find has a huge say in what you actually end up seeing. And the primary tool it uses for this trick is something called confirmation bias. It's pretty simple, really. Your brain basically starts with a theory about the world. Say, people are generally unfriendly. And then it sends your attention out on a mission to gather evidence that proves it's right, all while conveniently ignoring anything that proves it's wrong.
So if you believe deep down that you're an unlucky person, your attention will be like a magnet for every little setback. If you believe you're getting stronger and better, you'll start spotting all the tiny signs of progress. The objective facts of the world might stay the same, but your belief acts like a searchlight, only lighting up the pieces that already fit your narrative.
This quote just nails it. We tend to think our minds are like cameras, just objectively recording what's happening. But that's not what's going on at all. Your brain is a master editor, constantly cutting, rearranging, and highlighting scenes to create a story that it already thinks is true.
In fact, we're now learning that perception is mostly predictive. Your brain is making constant split-second guesses about what's coming next. It really is like having subtitles for your life that pop up just before the words are spoken. And while that's super helpful most of the time, it also means our old beliefs are constantly writing the subtitles for our new experiences.
So if our brains are wired this way, are we just stuck? Is that it? Absolutely not. And this brings us to the most empowering part of this whole story. You can actually influence the filter. You can, quite literally, rewire your own attention.
And the core principle that makes this possible is famously summed up as cells that fire together, wire together. It's simple. Every time you have a thought, a little pathway in your brain lights up. Repeat that thought, and the pathway gets stronger and clearer. Kind of like walking the same path in a field of tall grass. Do it enough, and that path becomes a well-worn road. The thought becomes automatic.
This amazing ability of the brain to change and reorganize itself is called neuroplasticity. And what it means is that your mental habits, your go-to ways of thinking, they aren't set in stone. They're just well-practiced patterns. And the beautiful thing is, anything that can be practiced can be re-practiced with intention.
So, the first step, the key to changing anything, is making this tiny but powerful mental shift. Instead of an automatic thought just hitting you as pure fact, this is true, you learn to step back and observe it as a mental event. Oh, this is something my mind is presenting to me. That little bit of space you create, that gap is everything.
And right there, in that little gap, you can ask one incredibly powerful question. When your mind serves up one of those big, heavy, negative thoughts, you just pause and ask, is that 100% true? Or is my attention just cherry-picking the evidence right now? That simple question interrupts the autopilot and puts you right back in the driver's seat.
So where does all this leave us? Well, once you understand how the filter works, you get that your brain can change, and you have this powerful question in your back pocket. You get to shift from being a passive viewer of your thoughts to becoming the active editor of your own reality.
Ultimately, it boils down to this. What you water grows. Attention is a skill. Whatever you choose to rehearse in your mind, whether it's gratitude or grievance, self-compassion or self-criticism, you are literally training your brain to find more of that in the world. You're building the mental highways that become your default state. And this quote just brilliantly summarizes the long-term impact of it all. Our lives aren't just defined by the big things that happen to us. They are profoundly shaped by the small moments our brain chooses to replay, to zoom in on, and to build stories around. Our very identity is a story woven from the threads of our attention.
So look, the goal isn't to get rid of the filter. You can't, and frankly, you wouldn't want to. The goal is simply to become an active participant in the process. To know that, yeah, your brain is gonna make its predictions and highlight certain evidence, but you get the final say on what gets the spotlight.
And all of that leaves us with one final and I think really important question. Knowing that your attention is the tool that shapes your reality, moment by moment, what are you going to train it on? What mental pathways will you choose to strengthen starting right now?